Good evening, everyone. So for speakers of 5 minutes, I'm going to read the bell when it is 4 minutes, tell you that it's about time to stop. And when it is 5 minutes exactly, I'm going to read the final bell twice to tell you that it's time to stop. Also, for speakers of 3 minutes, when it is 2 minutes, I'll read the bell once to inform you that it's about time to stop. And when it is 3 minutes exactly, I'm going to read the bell twice to tell you that it's time to stop. Additionally, your time starts counting when you order your first word. Example, ladies, your time already started. And ends when you finish your speech. I hope that you understand. Alright. I wish you all best of luck.
Please join together. Now we are about to listen to our first set of speakers. Again, we have a lot of speeches that we'll be listening to tonight. And as usual, if the speakers say something that gets to you, what do? Every day, you tell them to snap. When they say something, don't shout. Just snap. Just what? Snap. Are you ready? The topic that will be discussed in the first round is the topic of the Messiah of the current Nigerian state, political reforms or socio-cultural reforms. The Messiah of the current Nigerian state, political reform or socio-cultural reforms. Now, this first round is between public health, the Faculty of Public Health, which is get out of there, and the Faculty of Clinical Sciences. But the Faculty of Clinical Sciences will be unavoidably absent today, so we'll be having the Faculty of Public Health. So after the first we'll be having the second speaker. Are we good? Are we good? Okay. Now the first speaker for this evening, a resounding applause as we make welcome the first speaker from the Faculty of Public Health, the one and only Ajishe Israel. It's the beginning of God, and the word is God, and I'm considering the Old Testament that Savior come, and the leader of the ladies, gentlemen, welcome to Nigeria, where the mission, a medical student struggles to stop, because even the national day keeps collapsing. In Nigeria, where every place are simply playing us into our enemies, extreme congregation, then turn this to the Messiah, political reforms. So on this altar, Faculties is not just called of the diet to testify that political reforms are true desire of the current Nigerian state, testify our political science. Brethren, according to the Bible argument, political reform is how to change the political system in order to enhance democracy, increase government accountability, and improve representation. Not the economic reforms define socio-cultural reforms, as changes aimed at improving societal norms, values, and cultural practices. Simply put, when you get political reform, you think governments, institutions, and constitutional amendments, and when you get socio-cultural reform, you think family planning, gender equality, and religious tolerance. And according to the World Bank in 2023, the current Nigerian state is characterized by 4 primary issues: unemployment, economic instability, insecurity, and weak governance. These are not mere cultural dynamics, but these are issues simply root of the structural political failures. Our opponents, if they were here, would have definitely argued that socio-cultural reforms have to come first before political reforms can be effective. But brothers, we are not here to argue whether the chicken came before the egg or the egg before the chicken. After all, just the Baptist came before the structures, the actual Messiah. Thus, it is actually socio-cultural reforms that cannot be established without political reforms, because political reforms demand the laws and institutions. That addressing societal topics, for example, anti-discrimination laws, a political reform, provide the legal structure and bring resources to anti-discrimination campaigns. Moving on, Technical 2, Constitutional Law. In the 2015 article titled Federalism in Nigeria, a belief, Nigeria is constitutionally designed as a federation with power divided among the federal, state, and local governments. But in practice, we are much more like a unitary system due to the excessive concentration of power at the federal level, and that is why former President Obasanjo called for the restructuring of the Nigerian constitution to make way for the practice of true federalism. And according to a 2021 paper titled Canada for a True Nigerian Federalism, true federalism will grant state more control and resources and law enforcement, thereby promoting local accountability and economic development. Countries like the US and Ghana exemplify functional federalism, allowing for regional autonomy and innovation. Says that while other countries are choosing of its rights, only by arguments are thinking of our rights. Ladies and gentlemen, I pray for you that the forum is today. Actually, the day you come today, but still, I pray that you shall give them better. However, you are happy that the power politicians are not trusted to amend the world. However, democracy is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So when the people start demanding for change and accountability from our government, a sense of political rearrangement begins to occur among the common people, and that itself is a political reform. Technical 3 is the history. After the Rwanda genocide in 1994, the country was completely torn apart. The Rwanda area embarked on a series of political reforms that began with decentralizing power and against a zero-tolerance policy of corruption. And with time, the Rwanda transformed into one of Africa's fastest-growing economies, according to a 2024 World Bank report. Even Indonesia, with over 300 ethnic groups, strengthening its institutions through political reforms that ensure equitable representation. The point is that political reforms are straight other nations with similar characteristics of Nigeria. Technical 4, socio-cultural issues. Ethnic organs, political reforms are important topics of solving socio-cultural challenges. 1. According to the United Nations, affirmative action was aimed at promoting equity, particularly in education and employment, because such reforms address systemic inequalities and discrimination. 2. After the Nigerian Civil War, the NYSC Act was introduced as a political reform to promote national unity among the diverse ethnic groups. 6. That through political reforms, we can also solve socio-cultural challenges. Government was argued that previous political reforms are failed in Nigeria. However, this is why we still need more political reforms, because the issues, the 2022 Electoral Act was still a significant improvement on the 2010 election. In conclusion, for those governors in Nigeria, political reforms. For this education, political reforms. Even for consistent electricity at 2CH, political reforms. So you see, that when we bring this to the Messiah, that we look at the current government of Nigeria and simply declare, it is finished.
Thank you. That was speaker from the Faculty of Law. Still on to Messiah occupying political reforms or socio-cultural reforms. We'll be having the second speaker from the Faculty of Public Health. From Messiah, and try not to lead them from suffering to prosperity. Today, Nigeria faces profound challenges, and one thing is clear: our desire is political reform. Parliament may be expert in the example, skilled at putting the human body, but when it comes to matters of nation building, definitely misdiagnosis. Nigeria requires a thorough political operation and not mere socio-cultural mandate. Esteemed audience, many of these join the other shows why political reforms are the true Messiah. 1. Separation of power. Audience, imagine a judge trying to hold a powerful political figure accountable, only to realize that his career lies in the hands of the same figure. In such a system, the very enforcers of justice cannot perform their duties independently. Without true separation of power, justice becomes a mere suggestion. According to African journals online in November 2023, the Nigerian Constitution should be amended to ensure the judicial system is fully autonomous and to ensure proper checks and balances. 2. Insecurity issues. Let's talk about El Salvador. Violence. President Nayib Bukele implemented 4 reforms which included the state of emergency and mass persecution of suspected gang members. Similarly, Nigeria faces serious security issues. According to the Nigerian South African Chamber of Commerce webinar in 2021, by implementing targeted reforms that take a top partner as criminals, Nigeria stands a chance at reducing the rate of insecurity in the country. 3. The health sector. According to the World Justice Project, corruption has cost Nigeria more than $550 billion. $550 billion. The equivalent of hundreds of hospitals. Our healthcare system is crumbling under political mismanagement, but it stands a chance to be revived when we deploy reforms such as improved fund allocation. For instance, the concept of the one by 2023 implemented the 4x4 reform, which aimed at reducing the number of country healthcare workers. This has helped them reduce their infant mortality rate. Justice. I understand that cultural reforms are not possible, but without political foundation and government, technically cannot survive. Government might claim that corruption exists in our culture, but let's be clear. Corruption thrives in a system that does accountability. Full reform, social cultural reform, we fail. Government might also claim that it is difficult to implement political reform due to the opposition they face, but I think it reveals the audience that they are still the necessary thresholds needed for change. For instance, let's not be young to run campaign, consider the lowering the age requirements for public office, despite the initial opposition of the state. This just shows that when we citizens unite for a common goal, political reforms are possible. And with that, I rest my case. For faculty of public health, only one has Thank you very much. Now, now we're going on to the second round of debate for tonight, which is between the Faculty of Education and the Faculty of Agriculture. And tonight, they are going to be debating on the topic, is globalization a catalyst to Africa's growth? Is globalization a catalyst to Africa's growth?
Okay, and we will be hearing first from the Faculty of Education. We will hear first from the Faculty of Education. Faculty of Education, make some noise. Thank you so much. Please join me as we welcome the first speaker from the Faculty of Education. The first speaker from the Faculty of Education.
Achare Bukola.
Audience, in life they say there are only two sides of the coin, but for Africa, the choice is singular. For far too long, poverty has remained Africa's most pressing problem, and the complexity of achieving a sustained economic growth and improved living standards run deep. According to the European Commission, in a 2012 title, sow the seed of globalization. Logic over grace, wisdom over grace. Lastly, social transformation. Thinking of transform Africa's social landscape and improve infrastructure. The African Development Bank reported Africa's total trade volume grew from $130 billion in 1990 to $1.2 trillion in 2020. This large revenue has stimulated African nations to adopt favorable policies and foster international partnerships, which are not only reshaped the external social dynamics, but also internally. A striking example is the mobile communications technology, which has eliminated geographic distance and enabled Africans to connect to their families worldwide. Consider the remarkable progress from 2 phone lines for African Africans in 1996 to over 80% mobile penetration in 2020. Without globalization, such progress would only remain a dream, just like our opponent's chance of this debate. Again, I say, love over grace, wisdom over grace. I know our dear members are still going to propose that globalization causes being great. What a big joke. However, a proof example of that, according to the International Organization for Migration in 2019, the true purpose of being great are limited economic opportunities, poor governance, and inadequate infrastructure, not globalization. Like chemistry, if our e-commerce is used alone to speed up the growth of their approach, why not give globalization as a similar catalyst for Africa's growth? Again, I say, logic over grace, wisdom over grace. Now, opponents can still argue that globalization changes our cultural identity amazingly. However, it only serves as a bridge, not a bulldozer. With 70% of African languages represented online, according to UNESCO in 2018, and the global balance of African music and fashion. Think of Afrobeat. This is cultural fusion, not confusion. To stop here, if our opponent dressed in Western attire, debating in English, and still go back to their own state to speak their native languages, and yet claim that globalization is brought and taught. I find that quite ironic. Dear family, we salute your contribution to the nation, but watch it. This is the work of intellectuality. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, challenges exist, but these are not flaws of globalization. Rather, African countries need the right policies, structures, and approaches to fit properly into the system. If our opponents on the Faculty of Agriculture still disagree, I have just 2 words for them: semper veritas, truth always. I have sown the seeds of logic. It is time to harvest the truth, and it can be said to them: logic over grace, wisdom.
Can you please make some noise for the first speaker of the Faculty of Education? And very good. Now, without further ado, we will now be listening to the first speaker. We will now be listening to the first speaker from the Faculty of Agriculture. Make some noise for Congratulations, your submission has been activated. We now begin to listen to a notable argument from the Faculty of Agriculture. But wait, some people are still having issues in our opponent's speech. Do not panic. Just as our 1, 2, 3 are following the procedures. The Penguin Dictionary defines globalization as three countries of the world form cultural, economic, and political relations, while the rest actually catalysts. As an agent that speaks the human change, judges, let's put 2 and 2 together. A catalyst of Africa's growth must across a speedy significant change to the growth of Africa's cultural, economic, and political relations. Audience, in less than 5 minutes, I will conduct 3 experiments to prove that globalization does not cause a speedy significant change to the growth of Africa's cultural, economic, and political relations. Let's begin. For experiment 1. Press 1. The globalization of Africa's economy. Audience, if you would you want to stay in Nigeria and build this country, please raise your hand. Exactly. No thanks to globalization. The movement of skilled workers across African borders has been faster than the rate white fell through. This has led to an increase in the brain drain in African society. And what do you expect? People you had an employer for last year already left the country before its convocation, according to an article published in 2022 by United Nations Economic Committee for Africa. African nations lose billions of dollars annually due to the immigration of skilled workers. This departure increases the competitiveness and productivity of African economy. Now, bringing my own to argue that Africa is part of globalization, so they are benefiting from it. But let them know that according to a report in May 2024 by the Economist, highlighting the new economic order did not mention for both any African country as part of global economy. So if they tell Africa as a table, well, maybe we have, but we are just the menu on the table. And what do you say to this experiment? For experiment 2, press 2, the impact of globalization on Africa's politics. In the United Nations Security Council, UNSC, the interest between developing countries and developed countries are always competing for relative power positions, and of all African countries, only 21.4% have a direct representative in the voting bloc with zero veto power. Despite the fact that the majority of legacy policies affect African nations directly, others, how can they know explain the effectiveness of the solution and doesn't put some problem into consideration? It is as ridiculous as prescribing an anti-malaria drug of our opponent, suffering from relationship issues. Many times, the European nations dabble into the business of African countries uninvitedly, and this made matters worse. We have military intervention in Mali 2013, United Kingdom intervention in the Libyan Civil War of 2011, and many other interventions like that. Clearly, the Nigerian side is Africa's political representation. And what do you say to the experiment? For experiment 3, press 3, the impact of globalization on Africa's culture. Globalization has done worse in Africa's culture with the name of technological advancement. Nigeria alone has over 1,000 languages. Yet, how many of these are represented in the globalized world? The same question allows for essence of cultural value is strong, as the concept of globalization itself, which fosters the domination of the culture of the advanced country over the underdeveloped one, according to an article titled Cosmopolitanism, Ethics in the World of Strangers. For instance, the fall of an African country, and yet, even my opponent have the right step to prove that they can actually speak that English. My opponent I want to argue that what has led to a certain level of development in Africa, even though it's not significant yet. But let them know that the definition of globalization already establishes it as something that causes speedy significant change. I repeat, speedy significant change. Audience, if it is not significant, then it is not a catalyst. Also, without African resources, there won't be globalization. Let them get paid for today's debate. In conclusion, from the beginning, the point of globalization has never been for Africa's interest or development, but rather a mass avenue for the developed countries to prey on the weaker, yet resource-rich African countries. Ladies and gentlemen, I have tested my opponents with 3 different experiments, and they all failed. At this point, it is safe to say how much of education shares for a good in the faculty of agriculture, just as it was in the past, as once again failed. And until they can stop in the faculty of agriculture, they will only search for the way. They can never see it from the faculty of agriculture. My name is Obi.
Globalization a catalyst to Africa's growth. We are going to be hearing from the second speaker from the Faculty of Education. From the Faculty of Education, a group of people
boost of globalization and like bringing solutions through international collaboration, green technology, and agreements like the Paris Accord. Ladies, gentlemen, the procedure is complete and the operation is successful. As I conclude this speech, I would have called on my company to scrap it before the start of the procedure. But to further, this is one farm break. Besides, this is job for legends, not the rights of farmers.
Thank you so much. Can you please join me out as a previous speaker? Lovely. The Faculty of Education will not come to play today. Relax. We will now be listening to the second speaker from the Faculty of Agriculture. Make some noise for one of your hosts, Oladimeji Mustapha Gobara.
Having established that a catalyst must speed up a significant change in Africa's growth, my opponent still do not get it. So let's try competing with women by answering the question of what catalyzes Africa's growth, if not globalization. I will then prove my stance by examining two of the catalysts of Africa's growth side by side with globalization. Ladies and gentlemen, follow me closely as we lay out the errors in our opponent's stance. Error 1, economic catalyst, regional integration versus globalization. In 2021, a trade agreement among African countries called the African Continental Free Trade Area became operational to enable the free flow of goods and services across Africa, which boosts the intra-African trade from 50% to a whopping 50%. On the other hand, the free trade with globalization world has reduced Africa's contributions to the global trade from 5% to less than 3%, according to a 2024 article by the book. Regional integration is merely a catalyst for growth. Globalization is a catalyst, but for Africa's regression. And with this, error 1, error 2, progressive policy catalyst, decentralization versus globalization. Decentralization is the transfer of power from the central authority to the local government, which enables them to manage their own affairs and address their own living needs. A 2024 publication from the Ghana Journal of Development Studies shows that Ghana's decentralization policy opened discussion for good governance and local development. On the other hand, globalization stands against everything that decentralization stands for. A 2019 article by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development shows that globalization is responsible for African reliance on foreign aid, preventing self-sufficiency. So you see, globalization is a catalyst that chokes Africa's growth. And with this, second error, third error, the truth below the surface. My opponent will get statistics report from the kingdom. However, the African Development Bank debated that same year that globalization made Africa focus more on exporting raw materials instead of manufactured goods. So you see, globalization opened up new markets and yet limited the growth of Africa's manufacturing sector. Audience, globalization takes Africa one step forward and two steps backward. Yet, our teachers call these schools educators. In conclusion, intelligent audience, in our government come to protect political future from globalization, tell them that the next topic of what is advanced goal. It is rather asking if globalization is instrumental to that existing goal. Audience, conclusion, what are being led and don't be afraid of future knowledge because the educators you see today in this world, you should see when you open
Thank you so much. Because this seminar of those faculties, certification of agriculture. Now, before we go into the third round of this debate competition, we are going to be listening very quickly to a sponsor.
Go back. They are sponsors and they made this event possible. So can we have representatives from Go Back?
Please put your hands together and have representatives from Go Back. Put your hands together and
celebrate our sponsor. Thank you, Go Back.
Good evening, everyone. We are representatives of Global Online Mall. And Global Online Mall is a mall that is with students. We are concerned with doing
Thank you. Thank you.
Before we continue, courtesy of Go Back will be doing a giveaway. So the person who wins this first giveaway the opportunity to come on stage and select which of these phone accessories you want. That's the winner of the first giveaway. You have the opportunity to come on stage and select of these phone accessories that you want. Once more, the winner of this first giveaway will have the opportunity to come on stage and select any of these products that you want. Samples are ready for me. So, answer as usual. First correct answer. If you have not won a giveaway before, probably today shine on you. If you don't have good network as always, borrow hotspot. Samples can we have the hand display so we can get the so the question, first correct answer, media, are you with me? First correct answer. Giveaway, we would be having the next round of debate between what faculties?
Between the Faculty of Science and the
Faculty of Science, let's talk. Okay.
Alright. And the Faculty of the Social Science.
Wait, chair is louder. Is it faculty science?
We are from the Faculty of the Social Science. Make some noise!
If you are from Faculty of Science, make some.
The winner is the Faculty of Social Science.
Okay. Now, for this giveaway, first correct answer on Instagram, and the question goes thus. If you have been paying attention, you will get it easily. The question goes thus. What is or who are the two faculties that just completed this round?
Say the answer after you are seeing on the screen. precious debate. Send your answer. The first correct answer gets a chance to come pick any choice of food gadgets here.
Are you still sending the answers or should we call out the first correct answer?
We are waiting for you.
Science and social sciences, get ready. We are about to have the battle of the sciences. The battle of the sciences to determine the original factor. Okay, you have been getting answers. And the first correct answer
is
education and agriculture. Ayotunde Balogun. Are you here?
Balogun Ayotunde.
Come up here. Put your hands together for him as come forward.
Please, as they are coming, come with your ID card.
Your NIN certificate. Your PVC. Your marriage certificate. Okay. Come on.
Are you Balogun Ayotunde? Let's see your handle.
Let's see your handle.
Balogun Ayotunde, congratulations.
What faculty are you from?
Technology.
Faculty of Technology, make some noise. You know that tech boys, they always have network. So what do you want to say to your fans and supporters who believe in you?
I love you, and we are winning this. Don't want to
They go with much as they are good advance. Alright. Just one
We have
gadget.
told you what the gadgets are.
Choose the day who you will serve. Alright. Let's see what you chose.
Please put your hands together for me. Thank you so much. Have a great time. Put your hands together for him as he goes back to his seat.
Thank you. Alright, protest-wise, we are back to work.
Now, the first speaker for this round, from the faculty, they will be speaking on the topic declining global rate, a gift or a cost to humanity. Declining global rate, a gift. And the first speaker,
Declining global birth rate, a gift or a cost to humanity.
and the first speaker from the faculty of science, make some noise for Bayo Salamji.
Remember growing up as kids, we were told something like, as a girl, if a boy touches you, you will become pregnant. Funny enough, we believe those things because we didn't know better. But as time passed on, we later realized that there were many misconceptions. Ladies and gentlemen, in the same way, anyone who hears this topic most likely conclude that declining global birth rate are in fact a cause and not a gift to humanity. However, by the end of this debate, we will see the truth and realize that our opponent's point as implement misconceptions. Now, to properly arrive at the right conclusion, we must navigate to wisdom. So please follow me as we examine three factors and weigh the truth against the bad to see which one is here. 1. Automation and innovation. We are proven to reality that no best countries we experience economic collapse due to the high population population and few innovative minds yet to drive innovation. Dear societies, calm down because first, a 2021 World Bank Global Workforce Report stated that contrary to popular belief, it's advancement in science, education and economic policies that drive innovation, not share population size. This means that the dependent population is access to quality education and technology and sustain innovation. See, this is 2024 and automation and AI are already transforming economies, reducing dependencies on large workforces. This is why, according to the 2021 UN Labour Report, it stated that no best countries like Germany, Switzerland, flourish. I mean, think about it. With the climate perspectives of regions, there will be reduced competition for global resources, and Africa's growing labor force would become an asset in the global marketplace. In fact, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change highlights that declining global birth rate would mean less strain on ecosystems and a lot of better environmental preservation. For instance, Sweden and Finland understood this, and they have made great progress in this area. Our opponents may argue that there is no guarantee that these resources will be globally managed. However, that will not be the fault of declining global birth rates. I mean, good systems can be used for bad intentions. The real question is whether or not the idea was promised. And according to the World Bank in 2019, Finland, Germany, Japan, and Switzerland have successfully implemented health reforms, healthcare subsidies, and universal basic income for all their citizens. That implementation is possible. So, dear social scientists, once again, your arguments have been well understood. And sadly, they have been found wanting. 3. Cultural preservation. Contrary to my opponents' belief, a declining birth rate enhances cultural evolution, not erosion. And every 2017 report by UNESCO revealed that low-birth countries tend to preserve their cultural values, landmarks, and lifestyles more than high-birth rate countries. For example, Bulgaria is very proud of its historic Roman sites. Italy is known for its artistic and culinary traditions, and Japan is well known for their culinary art. Even South Korea have leveraged their K-pop songs and movies to promote their cultural identity. Plus, the same report also shows that these low-birth countries leverage the use of AI and digital technologies to preserve their cultural heritage and make them accessible to local generations. So, this cultural erosion argument of our opponents is simply a fantasy. We should not find a place in today's reality. At this point, I really hope the explanation does not drive our opponent to claim that declining global birth rate will lead to rural extinction, because honestly, that would be ridiculous. I mean, apart from the solid points I've made here today, a 2021 publication by the Future of Humanity Institute said that the adaptability of human beings makes our evolution impossible. I mean, humans are adaptive and capable of social and technology innovations to address demographic challenges. Even social studies tells us that man is a product of his immediate environment. Hence, issues like climate change, pandemics, or war are more logical threats for human survival and not declining global birth rates at all. So, focusing on human extinction is simply a desperate attempt by the opponent to look for multiple costs. Finally, the misconceptions have been cleared, and I trust my second speaker to handle the rest. So, dear social scientists, we give you E for effort, but please rest, because today your arguments have been well on the scale, and sadly, they are wanting from the Faculty of Science. I am Bayo Salaudo.
Thank you. That was the Faculty of Science. Right now, from the Faculty of Social Science, talking on the declining global birth rate, a gift or a cost to humanity. We will be having the first speaker from the Faculty of Social Science, Ola Stephen Favor.
And the 2022 United Nations World Population Prospect indicates that from 1950 till date, it has declined by 53%. Audience, judges, debate asks a simple question: is this decline a gift or a curse? To answer this question, the demographic transition theory by the social sciences comes in handy. It states that the persistent decline in global birth rate is an indication of a negative correlation between development and population increases. My opponents will argue that this negative correlation is an indication of a gift, but pardon them, they are far away from the scientific knowledge that their discipline teaches. You see, the thing with a curse is its impacts are always visible, because according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, they educated working class will find. What this implies is the working age population decreases, age workers increase, and there is a negative ripple effect on global human capital and economic output. A classic example of this is Japan, which holds the world record for one of the oldest populations and lowest birth rate. Audience, it is true that Japan is one of the world's biggest economies, but it is also revealed by the Ministry of Labour, Health and Wealth that when compared internationally, its economic growth, productivity and output remain sluggish and low, revealing the cost that comes with an aging population. Even the Japanese Prime Minister states that the country is at the brink of losing their function as a society due to the fall in birth rate. According to BBC, my opponent will argue that this shortage of global human capital or an aging population is inconsequential in the light of recent technological innovations invented to fix this problem. However, they forget that without a skilled global workforce, inventions remain a pipe with no inventors or demands. Second, a cost on developing countries. According to the IMF, birth rate declines at a slower pace in developing countries, presenting a twofold impact. The first impact, and what my opponent will paint to be a gift, is it creates a potential for economic growth if the working population rises. A potential that cannot materialize without the existence of certain socio-economic policies that are obviously lacking in these developing countries. So when they come up here and cite examples of the accelerated development of economies like the Asian tigers that miraculously coincided with the beginning of a decline in birth rate in the late 90s, let them know that correlation doesn't equal causation, and deliberate policy actions is what brought about the economic growth, not a decline in birth rate, leading to the second impact. And when the cost truly strikes developing countries, you see, as the decline persists slowly and working population rises as my opponent used to believe, developing countries face a risk of increased underemployment, economic stagnation, and eventual brain drain to non-developed countries. Of course, they will argue that the cause of brain drain or underemployment is not really a problem, seeing that developing countries benefit from the possibilities of foreign remittances and global migration. But again, the situation is far from that. Because by the time the workforce in developing countries are done migrating to developed countries, talent development and economic prosperity becomes unattainable. Third, a cost on you and I. You see, my opponent thinks are mere shiny wrappers of temporary pleasures. Deep inside it are long-term sufferings. The factors that make for a quality living standards are quality education, healthcare, employment and income. These gifts are what they wrap to be the gift of a global decline in birth rate. However, so far as this cost persists, quality education takes their hit, with an OECD estimation of 25 to 35% fewer primary schools. The Eurostat labour market estimates that income gap will increase from 8%, and the IMF estimates that with every 1% decline in working age population, there is a resulting 0.7% decline in GDP. So the improved quality of your life, my life, and our collective lives are at stake so long as this cost persists. In conclusion, since my opponents believe a decline is a gift, perhaps the judges should give them a declining score. It is very written here. Alright, we are not done yet. From the Faculty of Science, still talking about decline rate, a gift or a cost to humanity. We will have a second speaker from the Faculty of Science, Ayomide Aroroshaye.
My opponent are scared, and honestly, I get it. The United Nations predicted in 2020 that the global birth rate will fall by a whopping 25% by 2050. How scale and reach the emotional conclusion that declining birth rate is not a gift, it's rather rash. So today, I will set the record straight. To begin, my opponents have claimed that the decline in birth rate would lead to scarcity of resource and increase in conflict. But here is the real truth. According to the United Nations in 2010, in 2010, small population actually reduced pressure on resources, which is one of the main drivers of conflict. According to the World Resource Institute in 2010, the demand for water is exceeded to project supply by 40% if global population growth remains unchecked. Places like sub-Saharan Africa, where high birth rates often correlate with increased pressure on resources, violence over water, and land dispute is a constant issue. But with the declining birth rate, there is reduce in population, which releases the pressure on these resources, thereby reducing the possibility of conflict. And last I checked, that is a gift to humanity. Moving on, my opponents have argued that a decline in birth rate would result in geopolitical instability and power shift. However, according to the Center for Public Diplomacy in 2019, geopolitical influence in the modern world is increasingly determined by technological leadership, economic innovation, and cultural influence, not just sheer population size. Simply put, as nations evolve, they do not rely on population size to assert power. Nations like South Korea and Japan are both at the top in terms of innovative capacities, despite having lower population growth rates compared to emerging giants such as Nigeria and India. This proves that we do not need a large population to actually assert the global stage. Now, opponents from the Faculties of Sciences will actually stop relying on their outdated textbooks and step into the 21st century. They will actually see that this is undeniably a gift to humanity. In addition, my opponents have inferred that a decline in birth rate will place an inevitable burden on women and their families. However, according to the United Nations, in 2020, long-range countries such as Sweden, Finland, and Denmark have provided excessive paternity, subsidized healthcare, and workplace visibility. All of this helps to reduce the burden on women, and most especially women. They also promote policies which are enacted and directly designed to reduce the pressure which my opponents claim are worsened by birth rates. In conclusion, dear audience, we are providing strategic definition, and the truth is crucial. I will therefore advise my social scientists to reflect, correct their errors, and try again next year. Because in the last journal, they made it to the finals, but this year, this is their final ball.
Wow. Thank you so much. Which faculty won at the finals last journal? Faculty of talk now. Technology. You guys are the defending champions. Okay, we'll be looking forward to listening to your speech. Now, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we're going to be listening to the second speaker from the social sciences. Ladies and gentlemen, if your hands are not beating, make some noise for one of your own. One, the only, the
A declining global birth rate is an exact opposite of being kind. In fact, it is an actual cost on humanity. Ladies, gentlemen, with just 3 prayer points, I will reverse this course my opponents are trying to inflict on us with their arguments. 1. Prayer against ignorance. My opponents have argued that a decline in global birth rate is the solution to our population problems like high housing costs, poverty, and unemployment in particular countries. But we fail to realize that the general solution should not address particular problems.
population. They implemented the one-child population policy. For Singapore, it was an overpopulation policy, and they implemented the babies bonus regulation scheme according to a May 2023 article by Central Providence Bamford. These are different solutions for different situations. Audience, it's basic social science that country-specific problems require country-specific regulations and not a global perspective that will cause more global problems. Father, please deliver my opponents from their ignorance. 2. Prayer and God's solution. My opponents have also argued that the global method is the solution to environmental issues like climate change. But that is just being delusional because according to USA for United Nations Population Fund, half of the world's emission come from the richest 10% of the world's population, even though the poorer countries have the highest birth rates. This means that a highly industrialized small population will cause more harm to the planet than a less industrialized large one, because it's the industrial activities that causes the release of harmful gases and not population size. I mean, it's basic science that is not the quantity of food causes diabetes, but the sugar content, whether it is much or little. In fact, as a result of the birth rate decline, there will be an increased use of technology globally, and this will result in the further emission of gases causing more damage to the planet. Father, please deliver my opponents from their delusion. 3. Prayer against confusion. My opponents are arguing that the decline will reduce strain of public resources, but that's just a confused perspective. According to a United Nations publication, a decline in birth rate results in a high rate of dependency because the latter part of the population are now aged and rely on government authorities to make things like healthcare. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not a secret that the major source of public revenue is tax generation. However, an aging population results in less tax revenue for the government because the workforce shrinks and there is now more investment in healthcare concerns and pensions. This, in basic economic sense, means that demand becomes far greater than supply, and in some situations, the government will resort to borrow, increasing debt for the country. In conclusion, see this final prayer with Father, social sciences must bring to this today.
Thank you.
Wow. Are you not entertained? Make some noise for the Faculty of Science.
Alright.
Make some noise for Faculty of the Social Sciences. Okay, that was a lovely round. Now we are going on to the next round, and this round is special because we have the defending champions. I mean, some of you, in your lifetime, your faculty has never won Jomo, so you don't know how it feels. But people from the Faculty of Tech, they know what it's called to be a champion. If your faculty has won Jomo in your presence, make some noise. What is your faculty?
What faculty is that?
Art. Okay. Before technology, the champions were faculty of. Before art, faculty of. Okay. Faculty of art, nice one. Okay.
Alright. Going on to the next round for John Warrens of Legend Faculty. The next round is between Faculty of Veterinary Medicine and the defending champion, Faculty of Technology.
I want to see the faculty with the loudest chair. Veterinary medicine, make some noise. Faculty of Technology, make some
Okay, by their chance, we can know them.
Barnabas, make some noise. Okay.
Alright, so we'll be debating on the topic of internal factors. The major cause of post-colonial African troubles now or internal factors. We are going to be having the first speaker of veterinary medicine.
The first speaker from the Faculty of Veterinary.
Okay, this round will be debating on the topic regional versus centralized government, the better model for effective governance. Regional versus centralized government, the better model for effective governance. And we will be having a first speaker from the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine. From the Faculty, please make welcome Tony Ayodeji.
Intelligent audience, judges. Today's topic is very straightforward. If you want to know effective government in a country, do you apply general government or centralized government? For the sake of my opponent, let's simplify the topic. Regional government, according to the International Encyclopedia of Social Science, is defined as a governing authority existing between national and local level, where power is well divided among autonomous regions. While centralized government, power is concentrated. Central authority. One, resource autonomy. One of the key features of regional government is resource autonomy. The region are free to make use of their resources based on their own needs. This autonomy empowers the region to make crucial decisions based towards their unique economic and social needs, thereby ensuring that the regions prosper. Regional government succeed because of the financial autonomy they possess. Let's take a look at the Canada's province of Alberta. This province control over its gas and natural oil research has given economic growth, leading to a 4.8% GDP growth in 2022, compared to when the region was not autonomous. Two, political representation. Ladies and gentlemen, the government cannot be deemed to be effective if it does not encourage the representation of all sectors of the country, so that region will not be fully marginalized when the issues are being made by central government. Thomas Jefferson once said, the government closest to people sets the people best. So you see, regional government creates an avenue for a more inclusive form of government where everyone feel as though they are part of the leadership, thereby leading to dissatisfaction with government activities. Taking a look at Scotland, after the 1999 devolution of the Scotland central government, women representation in politics increased from 70% to 41%. Voters' participation increased by 30%. Public satisfaction with government responsiveness increased from 17% to 61%, according to statistical intelligence audience. The fact speaks for itself. My opponent thought today we need that government, we need tribalism and disunity. Intelligence audience, decades, we have grown up. The debate we are meant to have today should be grown up too. Taking the faculty of instead, if the government as its president, government generate funds to tools and sponsorship. Yet, okay, of technology as a unified faculty today, so regional government only help to improve the productivity of kids of the country which centralized government cannot touch. Three, economic diversification and innovation. This can be likened to a decade where government do monthly allowance. We get maybe 6 times, work hard, find other means to make end meet, because he knows if he doesn't, hunger will knock on his door like a thief. Regional government can serve as a panacea to the lack of innovation affecting developing countries today. Within 1950-1960, when Nigeria practiced regional government, the southern, northern and western region prospered extravagantly with free education in the west. They are not pyramid in the even before the advent of Google.
after the advent of football, the region and the country at large split session multiple times. So you see, regional government help the regions to innovate rather than relying on the mono economic system. My opponent made up on today's debate. We believe that after regionalization, some regions we have little or no resources to rely on. Intelligent audience. This will show improper research on their own part because according to public institutions, regions have found a way to collaborate and cooperate with each other to provide necessary amenities. Let's take United States for example. The state of New York and New Jersey has full autonomy, yet these regions combine together to provide a broad authority for their citizens. Also, Baltimore and Chicago cooperated together to provide affordable housing for their citizens. So my opponent clear this state. Otherwise, tell them that point is short-sighted. Decades. Let's have a history class. Syria, Chad, Central African Republic, and other countries are referred to as failed states according to one population.com. A failed state is a state whose government has become incapable of providing their basic amenities and responsible of a intelligent audience. Guess what? This happened over. They are all under the leadership of the centralized government according to what population.com. Unless the opponent definition of effectiveness, in today's debate is failure. The argument today is with intelligent judges. My job next is simple to show that the federal government is a better model to achieve effective government, and I have done that with logic, fact, and example. So the very chapter rest.
To debate on the topic regional versus centralized government, the better measure for effective governance. From the great hub of technology, we have the first speaker, Swara Ayobibe. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, in a regionalized country like Spain, in places like Valencia, smoking is legal. But just cross into the neighboring region of Catalonia and you could be arrested for the same thing within the same country. How absurd. It is typical of countries having different regions with different laws on budget matters. The citizens will live in perpetual confusion. Let's get to the crux of the matter. According to the Bible Library, centralized government is a political structure where the power and authority is concentrated in a single central entity or governing body, while the regional government, according to the same source, is a system of governance in which individual regions have the autonomy to make their own decisions without control from the central power. The topic today asks which of the two is the better model for effective governance. According to the Trump Institute for International Police Studies, there are four critical things for effective governance: inclusive governance structures, unity and order, effective defense systems, and efficient decision making. Let's go through each of them. One, inclusive governance structures. Judges, I didn't need to be a prophet to foresee that my opponents will argue that only regional governments have the ability to prioritize the unique needs of the citizens because they are closer to the grassroots. However, I would like to clarify from the onset that centralized governance is not the absolute absence of some regional division. Rather, it's the degree of autonomy granted to those regions that constitutes the difference, as outlined by the United Nations Development Programme (UNDP). You see, centralized governments have regions and provinces under them that communicate the needs of the people at the grassroots level for the central authority to then take tailored and effective action to each region as necessary. This ensures inclusive governance structure essential for effective governance. Two, unity and order. Earlier in my speech, I talked about the legalization of minor smoking in Spain in only some parts of it. Audience, when regions have the autonomy to make and enforce their own laws, the result, chaos, confusion, and and a complete lack of cohesion. In fact, let's take a look at the recent UEFA Champions League winners, Real Madrid. Vinicius Junior likes to dribble, Bellingham prefers to hold the ball, and Mbappe is always looking for the perfect shot. Now if each of them just keep their own thing without the coach calling the shots, it will be chaos on the field. There's always a need for a Carlo Ancelotti, a central figure with a master game plan who will ensure that each player's strength benefits the team as a whole. So just like a football team needs a coach, a country needs a centralized authority that will ensure that each vision works towards the same goal without overlapping. 3. National defense and decision making. Let's put this in terms that even our friends from vet medicine can relate to. No animal fights an infection cell by cell. Instead, the body works as a coordinated unit, activating entire systems to fight off diseases. Not random cells deciding how they want to defend themselves. So centralized governments work in the exact same way, especially when it comes to national defense. And centralized countries like France, they are very aware of this. According to the European Union, the France Ministry of Defense coordinates all 18 administrative regions under a single command, ensuring that every region is equally protected. You see, not just national defense, but even effective governance requires organization, decision swiftly, and a united front. Exactly what a centralized government will provide. Without it, effective governance is only an illusion. To top it all, ladies and gentlemen, would you believe that even some entities, even regional entities, identify the need for some of centralized authority? Let me explain. If Nigeria decides today to adopt the regional system of government, giving all the states full autonomy, then you immediately realize that even though the states are regions in themselves, the fact that they could possibly have sub-regions like the local government under them for more effectiveness makes them a form of centralized authority too. And even in the local government, there are smaller divisions. So no matter how small you go, there's always a need for a centralized authority to keep things in check, as outlined in the Oxford Research Encyclopedia of Politics. Basically, what I am saying is that even the structure of the regional governments in themselves already proved my point about centralized governments are better. Simply put, centralization is not only advisable or encourageable, it is indispensable. And my opponents will have seen that if they were not knowledgeable. Ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, if my opponents argue that centralized governments lead to tyranny, I can't care writing them that if they are still in civic education class in secondary school, they would have known that there are 3 arms of government: executive, legislative, and judiciary, and are supported by the Council of Foreign Relations. It is the job of the independent legislature and judiciary arms to check the executive central government. Basically, what that means is that it is not a task for the regional government. Simply put, tyranny is not the result of centralization. It's not the result of centralized governance either. It is a result of failed governance, whether centralized, regional, or even federal, like in the case of Nigeria. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, centralized government promotes unity, inclusivity, efficient decision making, and offers national security, while avoiding the fragmentation that comes with regional autonomy. It is not only more efficient, it is essential for effective governance. And with that, I have just one more thing to say. Vet medicine, thanks for participating, but go back home, vet your speeches, learn from the questions, and show your honesty.
Defending champion for a reason. Defending champion, ladies and gentlemen, that was from the Faculties. Now we are going to the second speaker from the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine. Make some noise for one of your own, Terry Bradley.
Ladies and gentlemen, imagine a University of Ibadan where all faculties are controlled by a single central authority. groundbreaking experiment with equipment older than everyone here. Yet, this central body focused on the general outlook of the university rather than the individual needs of its faculties. Absurd, isn't it? A university, precisely the University of Ibadan tried, because each faculty has autonomy to make unique decisions, tackle unique challenges, and meet the specific needs of the students. This same principle applies to governance, intelligent audience. There is an obvious fact that cannot be denied. The complexities and multi-speciality of countries demands one thing, that the government be closer and familiar to the people in school. Regional government improves public service delivery by being more responsive to local needs due to their proximity. Second, regional governments are flexible and in a privileged position to take with action, manage and direct recovery efforts to crisis more effectively than centralized government. In countries like Italy, regional governments have the ability, the authority to issue health policies that suit their unique demographic and healthcare capacity. When COVID-19 hit, as cited by the British Medical Journal, centralized governments like France coupled with 2,120 deaths per million compared to Canada, where regions adapted restrictions to their unique realities and had 919 deaths per million, less than half. The difference, local solutions for local problems, where regional governments understood their population density, healthcare capacities, and risk factors. Centralized France was slapping a one-size-fits-all approach across a diverse country. 3. Regional government enhances security in the face of domestic terrorism and rising crime. Centralized forces often fail due to delayed responses and lack of local knowledge. Nigeria offers a prime example of how local knowledge from central bureaucracy, the Southwest Amoteku Corps, as reported by the Vanguard in 2020. Tackle kidnappings and crimes faster than the federal government to draft a memo. Similarly, the Faculties boys in the South, South, and Southeast end public trust between 1998 and 2006 by arresting notorious criminals like Edinobu, while central forces sat around debating strategies. My opponents may come to say that centralized government ensures consistent policy. Consistency doesn't equal competence. As parallel from the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine, allow me to say, just as veterinary care tailors treatment to different species, government must adapt to the unique needs of its region to the quality of technology. While you are stuck building carbon prototypes, the rest of us are crafting real-life solutions. Government is not about control, it is about results. And regional system delivers this result efficiently, effectively, truly serves the people. Thank you. Faculty of Veterinary Medicine. Thank you. For the last time tonight, talking about regional centralized government for effective governance. We are going to be having the second speaker from the defending champion, Faculty of Technology. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the side of the hall. Don't show you who are open to your love.
Ladies and gentlemen, today's debate is not a debate of advantages and disadvantages where we can cherry pick arguments to our favor. Rather, the purpose of today's debate is to determine which system is suitable for effective governance
regional government. To do this, we must first look at the principles. What are the principles of effective governance? According to the United Nations, we have efficiency, accountability, and inclusivity. So which of our two options adheres to this principle better? To begin, a University of Chicago Press article titled Political Centralization and Government Economic Performance stated that in order to improve centralization is the better choice because it promotes coherent policies as well as ensures that it properly addresses the needs. Meanwhile, regional government promotes bureaucracy which is operating bottleneck and as such they are less efficient. Moving on to accountability, a 2015 article titled Political Centralization and Government Accountability pointed out that regional governments often fail at accountability because they have clearly unstructured basis. Meanwhile, centralized governments with their clearly and well-structured hierarchies ensure better accountability. In fact, let us move on to inclusiveness. According to the Journal of African Migration Studies, regional governments excel at inclusiveness because they are closer to the people and know what they need. However, we still need a centralized government to harmonize the work of this regional government in order to prevent discord and unfairness in this country. So from this, it is obvious that a centralized government is best. But if these animal doctors still don't get it, please start it goes so good. At this point, I know my opponents might try to prove that regional government promotes good governance. However, the American Journal of Political and Social Science pointed out that regional government often ensure fail to protect the rule of law. Meanwhile, centralized government are better for ensuring the rule of law because they provide oversight to prevent the exploitation and protect the interests of the people. This is clearly seen in representatives for the region at the center, two legislators like senators and representatives. So centralized governance promotes effective government. Check. Centralized governance promotes the rule of law. Check. At this point, if these animal doctors still don't get it, let me break it down for them like a technique. Ladies and gentlemen, think of a car, a centralized government. A car with a powerful engine that transmits power to all other parts and ensure they value. Meanwhile, a regional government by contrast is like a car in which all the other parts are trying to work on their own with an engine that doesn't have power to supply to them. Dear audience, you don't need to be an engineering student like me to see that this plan is already productive. So once again, the animal doctors, thank you for coming, but unfortunately, this is the end of your journey. So, how are you next year?
Very hardcore crowd. Wow.
Thank you.
Now, thank you. Continue the round. If your hands are not busy, make some noise as we welcome one of your own. Put your hands together for PD. Let's go. Celebrating.
And I showed just by myself. I never know I'm the one.
Listen, attention.
I'm loyal.
Good.
Nobody can come against me.
This is heavy, but I'm prepared to take the weight. I heard there was a banquet, someone get me a plate. Cause I'm eating everything with a glass of all my conscience. I only put it down so I can measure the circumference. Started on this song, we take a sample flow. Man up there, we don't care, I'm only here to see the show. But you should better look the doors because I'm in the beast mode. When the drivers see the place, they only beast mode. Now I'm from the doctor, we might go in, now we're fighting every part, so never stop anymore when the road was narrow. to fight back because I never lose a cheese that bounce back a cow was elevated with your parents. Honestly, I'm sure I never stop until it's happy. So now that none of this time for us in Abu Dhabi. Still I'll be the show back and everybody clapping as I become the new king. Yeah. So wait, let me ask you one question. Listen, maybe I was looking for some words that I would never hear. Talking and talk, but growing tall. I be walking on my plane, more complex than a jigsaw. It's for some way they think I stay the same. To what we thought you think I'm speaking, I would never change, man. I didn't know about she is turning to blessings. Made it friends, but it just made me so depressing. I was mixed with a couple things, I thank God for coming through. Started singing out with me, but now I be mixing too. Many out my face, telling me that I was raped. But shout out to my brothers and family, but say the truth. I was breaking tables I can never pay for. As I only pay some of my body, but when one or two go ask me, kid, what you go through? I just give it a calm down, just say we don't be news, cause God is up. Cause I don't need to remind you. Say you don't see where devil go, they compete with disciple. Ain't nobody that can take my grace. Me, I know they shake. They say life is like a death, but I don't have the time for stupid games. I guess I'm crazy to the mess up in my bloody head. Don't some stupid things, I swear to God, I'm never scared. I was in love before, but now my heart is really dead. Make some people cry a lot, and now be trying to understand. It is like I wasn't ready, but maybe I just see the tear. Because I was wishing for some watch and I would never rest. I ain't never talking at all, but growing tall. I'll be working out my pain, get more complex than a jigsaw. Thank you very much, everyone.
Now we will continue in the debate competition, and the next round is between the School of Economics and the Faculty of Renewable Natural Resources. Wait, how many faculties in that place? Everybody. Alright. And the topic is the impact of religious beliefs on political decision making, a force for unity or a source for polarization. The first speaker will be from the School of Economics. Make some noise as we make welcome one of their own, Miracle Sadiq.
Ladies and gentlemen, picture a world where every belief is a brick and every conviction a beam of strength. Allow me to introduce Bob the Builder, a relentless architect of solutions, armed with the timeless tools of religious beliefs. Today, Bob takes on his greatest challenge yet, building unity in a world longing for connection. As we embark on this journey, the question before us is, can we build it? Yes, we can. Phase 1, laying the foundation. This great task begins by defining our key terms. According to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, religious beliefs are firmly held beliefs and attitudes regarding the nature of the universe, humanity's place in it, and the purpose of life. Unity, as defined by the Oxford Learner's Dictionary, is the state of being in agreement and working together harmoniously. Now that we are clear on the structure we are building and the tools we are using, our structure is off to a promising start. The question remains, can we build it? Yes, we can. Phase 2, the 3 building blocks. To build unity, Bob found principles that cut across all religions worldwide. These principles will serve as building blocks for unity. Block 1, righteousness and moral responsibility. 2 Timothy chapter 2 verse 22. Pursue righteousness, faith, love and peace. Surah 49 verse 13. The most noble of you is the most righteous. Taotechi, the righteous person is like a tree that stands firm in the face of adversity. This proves that the pursuit of righteousness and peace is a universal belief shared across religions. Honest audience, if these principles are used as the base of policy making, how then is it not a source of unity? An example is the amendment of the Code of Conduct Tribunal Act in 2019. Legislators from diverse religious beliefs all advocated for the amendment of this act, emphasizing transparency and equality, meaning that these values are deeply entrenched in their religious teachings. Ladies and gentlemen, can we build it? Yes, we can. Block 2, prosperity and economic well-being. Every continent in the world is represented in the International Monetary Fund, which means that by extension, every religion is represented in it. Religious beliefs influence the decision of countries to join the IMF. How, you may ask? What is the IMF's goal? To encourage expansion of trade and economic growth. Now, take a moment to reflect on the core values, faith, or beliefs. They all encourage economic prosperity, whether it is through hard work, generosity, fairness, or stewardship. What I am saying is, the political decision of countries towards economic prosperity aligns with the values of religions worldwide. Ladies and gentlemen, can we build it? Yes, we can. Block 3, the Golden Rule. On December 10, 1948, for the first time ever, humanity collectively recognized in a single document the Universal Declaration of Human Rights that all people are born free and equal, irrespective of their race, color, or religion. Similarly, Section 42 of the Nigerian Constitution prohibits discrimination based on ethnicity, gender, or religion. This constitutional principle is rooted deeply in a timeless moral foundation that cuts across religions. The Golden Rule: treat others as you want to be treated. This principle guides personal conduct but also shapes governance and policy making at all levels. Audience, if unity means being undivided, then whatever makes people stand as one in agreement is a source of unity. Phase 3, the roof of unity. As we near the final structure of this debate, let us focus on its most vital component, a diverse people. According to an article published by The Punch on June 12, 2023, titled MKO, the Supreme Sacrifice That Nurtured Democracy. During the 1992 presidential election, Moshood Abiola, a Muslim candidate, won by unifying people from diverse religions. His success wasn't just about his policies, but because he championed the unifying values of justice and equity. Ladies and gentlemen, can we build it? Yes, we can. Finally, despite our diverse beliefs, religions worldwide emphasize core values like fairness, honesty, and accountability. These values transcend our differences and create a common ground, unity, the structure we have built. Ladies and gentlemen, the question no longer lingers. Have we built it? Yes, we have. Now, my opponent will come on this stage and try to destroy this beautiful construct. But I know that they will stand before a court that will make them affirm the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you.
The impact of religious beliefs on political decision making for unity or a source for polarization. We are going to be having the first speaker from the Faculty of the Renewable Natural Resources. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the side of the world. All now ready to go. Thank you, John.
Good day, ladies, gentlemen, judges. My opponents think that they are forced to reckon with, but just as many forces of nature, what appears to bind us together often tears us apart. So, what they truly bring is illusion, an illusion that religious beliefs fosters political unity. I stand before you to reveal how this unity crumbles under scrutiny using three forces of nature. One, force, as we all know, gravity pulls all things towards their center of mass. But what if this center is always shifting? Because just as gravity pulls things downward, religion pulls political decisions towards their doctrines. According to the view, and we don't put political decisions towards their doctrines. And with over 10,000 religions, we
beliefs and dogmas, according to the CIA World Factbook, this center is always shifting, and this is the core issue. Religion unifies. When everyone agrees to the same center as true, for example, Christianity and Islam, the two largest religions worldwide, both advocate for justice, but both have priorities that are different in justice and good governance. According to Pew Research, 70% of Christians and 60% of Muslims prioritize different policies on human rights and economics. Even in Islam, another Nigerian Muslim may advocate for strict punishment for blasphemy based on Quran 33 verse 57, while a Southern Muslim might plead Allah's benevolence. Same religion, different paths. This is the force that divides us. This shows that even within the same religion, there are varying beliefs. Not to talk of multiple religions, what then could be the impact of these varying beliefs, if not varying opinions and division, and that is the definition of polarization. Moreover, my opponent might want to say that religion beliefs bring trust between followers and leaders, which unifies. Yes, we agree trust is essential in politics, but when we disagree, the basis for this trust, fact, this trust is conditional and group-based, but just can easily mark this kind of trust based on religious activity. Two, functional force. This is the force that comes together when two bodies come in contact, right? Now, the people that religious unity within a dominant group often comes at the expense of minority groups who do not share the same faith. This vision is the price that we pay when religion comes together with politics. For example, according to the Oxford Encyclopedia, the church often influences politics with 94% of the population identifying as. In fact, the Catholic Church was very important in its transition to democracy, but there was more to what meets the eye. In the 1990s, this influence led to restrictive abortion laws, which alienated minority groups. And guess what? When you alienate, you polarize, despite the fact that the Polish constitution separated church and the church still influenced state affairs, silencing minorities along the way. This is danger when politics together with religion. It only runs smoothly when everyone agrees to the same center as true, but it creates frictions when there is a little divergence. This leads to political and social exclusion rather than inclusion. Electrical force, ladies and gentlemen. As we all know, electricity either shocks us or charges us depending on the use. My opponent might claim that the fact that most religions and their beliefs stand on a common group like peace and LGBT and others mean that they can bring about unity in decision. Wow, serious part from that logic, because you see, whatever spark that might ignite political unity quickly quenches when the path to achieving this is different. In other words, most religions agree on peace, but it path to peace. For example, according to Britannica Encyclopedia, it explains that the Crusade War that took place for 200 years between the Muslims and the Roman Catholic Church, both religions advocated for righteousness to peace. Yet, in the name of peace, they abandoned peace. So you see that even if the intent is noble, the application is difficult. This shows that religious beliefs is not constant, stable when everyone follows the same current. As history has shown us that when paths to peace diverges, religious beliefs cannot and will not bring political decision unity. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, if the main winner was to be a political decision that involved Ogun, Sango, Buddha, Zeus, Moses, and Suleiman, they will still not agree on from our opponents. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, the forces have spoken, and they have spoken against the notion that religious beliefs bring about political unity in this political decision making. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Faculty of Renewable Natural Resources, I am Olanuwaju Oladipo.
Thank you so much, DJ. We know. Now we will be going on to the. Please make some noise for the speaker from the Faculty of Renewable Natural Resources. warm welcome to the one and only Mirabel in Faculties.
I, Mirabel Chiso Ikejaku, sincerely and truly declare that I shall say the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Today, we convene not just to argue, but to uncover the truth. My opponent will tell you that religious political decision making are divisive, but I will dismantle this with 3 points. Exhibit 1, morality, a framework for unity. Your audience. Morality. Chiso Mirabel Ikejaku, sincerely and truly declare that I shall say the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Today, we convene not just to argue, but to declare.
Let's maintain decorum, please.
Truly declare that I shall say the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Today, we convene not just to argue, but to uncover the truth. My opponent wants you to believe that religious beliefs in politics are divisive. But in 3 minutes, I will dismantle this notion. With sufficient evidence, the verdict to declare religious beliefs are not guilty. Exhibit 1, morality, a framework for unity. Your Honor, morality unites society, and religious belief is its foundation. According to an article by Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, which says, religious beliefs and morality in Western philosophy, from the beginning of Abrahamic faith and Greek philosophy, religious beliefs and morality have been closely intertwined. But my opponents will say that policy makers often fall upon their religion when making this decision. But the truth remains, unity and polarity they are intertwined. An instance of polarization arises when these forces seek to engather on top of the religion, on top of their people. The verdict remains not guilty. Exhibit 2, sectarianism, a misinterpretation of the real issue. Audience, our problem is not religious beliefs, but rather a misinterpretation that leads to unrest. My opponents will claim that religious beliefs are the root cause of division, stating examples of crusade and jihad. But the real issue, my audience, is that religious beliefs are not political exploitation in religion for personal gain. According to the Science Direct article on sectarianism, Syrian history coexisted when religions thrived and respected each other. The real division then emerged when political elites manipulated religious difference to create traction for power. The verdict remains not guilty. Exhibit 3, unity, not uniformity. Uniformity remains sameness. One unity was connect two diversity together. So when my opponents say that people's different opinion in politics leads to polarization, let us tell them that diversity is not polarization. Regardless of the existence of religion, opinions will always be different. Diversity, that is one essence of unity. Religious beliefs preach the same value, and when they impact policy, they become a source of unity. Audience, you have seen the evidence, heard the truth, and felt the impact. Judge wisely. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Coming from the Faculty of Renewable Natural Resource to speak on the topic at hand, we have the second speaker, Grace Ogundeyi.
Audience, churches, we all know that religious belief are totally geared towards doing what is done, and these are based on divine instructions and spirituality. On the other hand, in government, political religions are supposed to be geared towards doing what is most beneficial to the government, the people, and the nations at large, based on facts, figures, and logic. Especially in situations where we don't have the same God, and this shows an inherent conflict of interest. Because what is God sometimes, it is not rationally, economically, and politically most beneficial to the nation. In fact, what we know is that these spiritual things, usually, they define logic and non-fact. So, trying to harmonize all this is like trying to make parallel lines mean. Furthermore, in basic economics, we record that it is impossible to satisfy everyone. So, compromise is important. Now, the difference between the technical belief and religious one is that the fundamental beliefs are either the shift or the best is evidence. One religious ones are absolute, sacred, and all by faith, making them more difficult to compromise. According to a research study by Thomas University, religion and political polarization, according to the ideal level of religious commitment, that's the one greater political polarization. So, even if it's doctrine, let's remember a moral compass. They create a problem when certain issues are non-negotiable. In fact, according to an African journal, dated June 2010, the evidence of religious belief, often political campaigns, that are supposed to be for discussing the person to serve the public interest, into battleground for moral and religious issues, distracting us from the main issues. Now, my opponent, I've used different examples of where religious belief was used as a form of unity, with people like Mahatma Gandhi and others, judges. The same so that this is not used for good. It is
that round. We have to wait for the judges, but I'm sure it's very, very tight. Which faculty is winning? It's coming. Alright. Okay. Now going to the next round of debate.
Going on to the next debate, we're having one of the brightest, like I said earlier, my favorite faculty, going against another favorite faculty of mine. This round is between the faculty of law. That's reality. The faculty of law is going against the faculty of environmental design and management.
Okay. Now, this round of debate, we are going to find out of the truth. Is law indeed supreme? We are going to find that out in this round of debate. Is law supreme?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we will also find out if environmental design will find a way to creatively cut out the faculty of.
Thank you, Precious. This debate round is going to be discussing, should commercial surrogacy be legalized in Nigeria? Should commercial surrogacy be legalized in Nigeria?
First speaker for the faculty of law. Make some noise for one of your own. People law.
Audience, my opponent's attention is needed at every page back, or what's left of it. Yet, they are arguing with students of law on matters of law, but to at least make their time here worthwhile, let's give them a crash course on how laws are made. Stay with me. Stage 1, the first reading, where the bill is generally introduced to the House. 2 items. 1. According to Georgetown law, commercial surrogacy is reward the surrogate for carrying the baby, remove this compensation, and you have altruistic surrogacy where the surrogate is not paid. 2. Legalization, according to Cambridge Dictionary, means to create a law that recognizes and regulates it. So when we say commercial surrogacy should be legalized in Nigeria, we say government should intervene by the creation of a law to regulate paid surrogacy in the best interest of the state and its people. Stage 2. The second reading, where we clarify the essence and origin of the bill. Audience, let's examine the Nigerian context. The question of commercial surrogacy is led by one fundamental issue: infertility. The National Library of Medicine reviews that 15 to 30% of Nigeria suffer from infertility. In Nigeria, the infertility of a couple brings sadness to the entire family. So imagine the unquantifiable joy that the birth of such a long-sought child will bring, and not just any child, but one that shares the blood and genes of the parents. Now my opponents may argue that altruistic surrogacy can, but the truth is, it is simply inadequate. Without compensation, only few women are motivated to serve as surrogates, as stated in an article titled "Gestational Surrogacy in Nigeria." So while altruistic surrogacy may be good, commercial surrogacy is simply better. Stage 3, the committee stage. Ladies and gentlemen, come, let's reason together. Let's delve to the realm of biology and teach law to the designers. Joseph Ross in his 1979 book, The Authority of Law, emphasizes that legalization is informed by the theory of legal positivism, whereby laws are involved to deal with changing societal needs. By legalizing commercial surrogacy, we strengthen existing laws that are designed to tackle the use of baby factories, such as the trafficking Prohibition Act. According to DW News, in 2024, around 200 underground baby factories have been shut down in Nigeria over the 5 years, and yet new ones keep opening. This implies that as long as there is a demand for babies, this horrifying practice will prevail. Legalizing commercial surrogacy not only protects the individual's right to human dignity, but also causes decline of baby selling by providing a legal and regulated alternative. Stage 4, the report stage. Audience, let's hear from the House Committee on Economy and Finance. Ron DeSantis, an Australian professor of human rights law, highlights that engaging in commercial surrogacy is an exercise of a woman's right to work, and in law, this is called reproductive labor. This perspective is extremely relevant in Nigeria, given the challenging economic situation. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, over 18% of Nigerian women take responsibilities for supporting their families, despite facing workplace restrictions. Commercial surrogacy offers an avenue for these women to earn a decent income, thereby improving their socio-economic status. Please note that no woman is forced to be a surrogate. Thus, by legalizing commercial surrogacy, the government presents a wide and regulated source of income for these women, empowering them to cater for them and for their families. Stage 5, the third reading, where any final opposition to the bill is raised before a vote is taken. Audience, my opponents may come to argue that legalizing commercial surrogacy would worsen the exploitation of women, but all it takes is a thinking man to say that this point was not well thought of, and noting that pride itself on planning and meticulousness. This is not good enough. I mean, the current exploitation in surrogacy is being perpetrated by the brokers and health facilities, and that is exactly what legalization and regulation will tackle. By bringing it out of the underground and into the open under scrutiny. Besides, greater prohibition of commercial surrogacy would rid women of their rights to make decisions over their own bodies, suggesting that a woman has no rational mind to do so. So you see that surrogacy helps women to assert their rights to control their body. In conclusion, in fact, there is no need.
Thank you. Now I'm speaker for the Faculty of Law. Very quickly, we are going to have the first speaker from the Faculty of Design and Management. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Antonade and Yola. Is it the society we want to create, where life is manufactured for the highest surrogacy be any different? Issues related to breaches of surrogacy contract and agreement of our payment term will become overwhelming for in-house legal system. Nigerian court and the surrogacy and paternity dispute, we have more drama than Nollywood. I can imagine when my opponent become new lawyers, how stressed out they are going to be from trying to resolve issues of my body weight for 2,500 naira. They want no doubt that to consider alternative employment like this making. And it's all true. There's a better quality. Here comes the most heartbreaking episode. Poor women, desperate for money, and the wife is surrogacy. They enjoy our food, emotional trauma, and the supply of that stigma. All while they love to benefit from their surface. This is the great no worries part. Commercial surrogacy, expect poor rural women, especially those in low-income countries. According to a survey by the Nigerian Rural Health Survey 2020, 75% of surrogates are poor rural women. Their life is not even guaranteed in the process. And that's not them any amount. They are equal their rights. There are 2 billion in this story. One, the unregulated fertility clinic that came from the desperation of the poor. And 2, my opponent that supports commercial surrogacy, legalizing commercial surrogacy. 1 year empower these exploiters. Episode 4, with legalization comes regulation. My opponent in the legal field will argue that with legalization comes regulation. For we all know the country we live in. Nigerian regulatory framework is plagued by corruption, inefficiency, and cultural complexities, making regulation difficult. Nigerian regulatory body struggles to monitor and enforce law, especially in rural areas where surrogacy agencies operate. Lack of transparency allows expectation to thrive, making regulation difficult. Moreover, surrogates are vulnerable due to economic inequality, making them susceptible to pressure and coercion. Intended parent financial power, influence surrogate decisions, leading to pressure and coercion. Ladies and gentlemen, and so the series ends. Nigeria is at a crossroads. The decision to legalize commercial surrogacy is not about fertility. It's about the future of our society, our women, and our children. We need to protect our values and the vulnerable among us, or we allow expectations to thrive. Ladies and gentlemen, respected judges, audience, let us not give a tragic ending for Nigeria. Thank you.
According to a 2003 article by the International Organization Journal, titled The Concept of Legalization, there are 3 things you must consider before an act can be legalized: obligation, prescription, and delegation. Now the question of today's debate is, does commercial surrogacy meet threshold for legalization? With just 3 points, showing how commercial surrogacy satisfies this element and why it should be legalized to protect all stakeholders. And Muslim is asking for the faculty of law, and then we pose the debate. Number 1, obligation. Obligation is the state and legally bound, but it cannot go down to serious of international law. The government and benefit of rights have the obligation to ensure that individuals fundamental human rights. Article 16 of the UK Charter ensures the right to form a family. Yes, there are no legal structures in place to protect and defend this right. But legalizing commercial surrogacy satisfies this obligation of the state by providing a legitimate pathway for couples who cannot conceive naturally to have children biologically related to them on their own terms. So law, EDM. 2, precision. Precision means that the reason and people will define the conduct of the right. Without such clarity, the surrogate are not available. In a previous time article in May 2023, it was stated that young women get paid for money are sometimes persuaded to be surrogate without adequate medical certification, care, and legal protection. This often leads to health risks, exploitation, and no support after the donation process. So you see, even without legal frameworks, commercial surrogacy is already happening behind closed doors. But legalization will ensure a precisely defined framework, safeguarding the rights and well-being of surrogates. And this is where we start our second goal. Urgent, please move to discuss with me. No! EPM! 3, delegation. Delegation is assigning authority to third parties, such as medical professionals and regulatory agencies, to implement and enforce. In a 2020 publication by the University of Maryland, it was stated that the best protection for children born to surrogacy is legalization that delegates, that regulates, commercial surrogacy to third parties. So you see, legalizing commercial surrogacy delegates authority to for modification of children. Judges. In an article by David Blackman, a professor at the Blackman School of Law, he stated that babies are not anybody's property that can be put on sold. I expect on the sides of a man to find my future husband, but that does not mean I am buying a husband. So you see, a project is not telling a child she is offering a service. What is being compensated is the process and not the product. Ladies and gentlemen, in today's debate, our shops were on target, our packaging was flawless, and our products have been enslaved. The final whistle has been blown, and the winner is.
Thank you. Well, next, it is my pleasure to announce that the final week, and so we're going to have the second from the Faculty of Environmental Design.
We'll be talking on true commercial surrogacy in Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Adeleke Yohada.
Ladies and gentlemen, today I rise not only to speak but also to sound an alarm that echoes from the heart of our humanity, our deepest, most sacred relationship. Today I speak against the looming threat of commercial surrogacy in Nigeria, a practice that typically may seem or sound as an answer to infertility, but beneath its noble intention acts a darker truth. A woman for rent, a child for sale. Peace as commodities, women as vessels. Peace threatens the very essence of what it means to be a woman, a family, and a mother. Walk with me as I take you through these three phases of reality. Phase 1, witness and infrastructure. Commercial surrogacy requires a high level of healthcare in order to maintain the safety of the surrogate and the child. Nonetheless, Nigeria healthcare system is already overburdened with insufficient infrastructure, undefined medical institutions, and the shortage of healthcare professionals, which according to the Nigeria Medical Association has worsened by 1,000% against the recommendation of the World Health Organization. Also, another study by WHO in Nigeria highlights that our maternal mortality is among the highest in Nigeria at 800 deaths per 100,000 live deaths. This is Nigeria already facing 20% of all global maternal deaths. Legalization of commercial surrogacy can only intensify health risks in women and as a result worsen these figures. Phase 2, the child's perspective. Let us now come to the child, the product of this transaction. Imagine growing up only to learn that your birth was not as a result of love but a business arrangement. Imagine learning that the woman who carried you, the surrogate mother, died on the road, neglected by the very system that used her. Originates in this debate, my opponent's confidence is just like that of a first-year law student, inflated, misguided, and doomed to melt in this heat of critical assessment. Because in the history of Nigerian culture, family is woven with threads of love, respect, and tradition. But commercial surrogacy, which commodifies childbearing, will only unravel this fabric, replacing bond with contact and love with transaction. Ladies and gentlemen, phase 3. Diversity of exploitation. My opponent argue that legalization of commercial surrogacy will solve the problem of couples who are unable to have their own children. However, consider the case of India. In 2005, India legalized commercial surrogacy only to ban it 10 years after in 2015. This was made to address the estimated 3,000 unregulated fertility clinics in the country and to protect women from unending exploitation. But my opponents may say ignorance. It is expected. They are spending years learning learning how to twist the truth in the knot while calling it an argument. The Guardian reported in 2011 that girls were paid $192 for a newborn boy and $161 for a newborn girl in Aba, Abia State. Now, imagine legalizing commercial surrogacy. What a way to celebrate the invaluable human life than to give it a market price alongside cattle at the travel market. That is UK. Thank you. Thank you so much, DJ. Thank you so much, DJ. Merci. Encore merci. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving over to the next set of debate.
The next set of
debate between the Faculty of Basic Medical Sciences.
Faculty of the Basic Medical Science, again, the greatest and the premier faculty of the prevailing medicine.
There's one thing we can all agree to make it so You guys, your faculty is close to KDL. I thought you'd be quiet. What happened? Okay. Now the very first speaker from Basic Medical Sciences, make some noise for one of your own, Lawal Hidayat.
Who will be talking to countries prioritize regional cooperation over international alliances for security?
Okay, thank you so much. The topic is trend in Nigeria, a puppet or thank you, DJ. The topic is Student Union in Africa, puppet or revolutionaries. Please put your hands together for the first speaker from Basic Medical Science, Lawal Hidayat.
Which part, particular part is that?
Today, I'll show you why student unions in Africa are nothing but puppets. But before we begin the debate, let's clarify again. Basic evidence 2. Cooperation. Political cooperation of student union in Africa occurs when political elites suppress an opposition by absorbing it into their own power structure through the use of financial incentives, patronage network, or even threats. Several African student unions have been co-opted with government undermining student activities by bringing them under state control. According to Musa Kasta, a Zambian government, in Zambia, this co-optation has been facilitated by financial incentives, such as the $25 monthly allowance provided to university students. Originally intended as financial support, however, this has become a mechanism of political control, as students who depend on this allowance are less likely to engage in activism than when challenge students to ruling party. This same trend is also observed in Zimbabwe. A saying goes, and it's over for this Obodo, loosely translated as a mouth that has been used and not speak the truth. Basic evidence 3. Corruption. According to Cambridge Dictionary, a revolutionary form of involved in study and for exchange. It is unspeakable that such person is a puppet to their own purpose. For example, in Tanzania, the student union of Dar es Salaam University was caught in a financial scandal as reported by Tanzania News on the 3rd of December 2019. Similarly, according to Modern Ghana on the 22nd of March 2018, the University of Ghana SRC was accused of financial mismanagement, which the People's Watch Research of. How can self-serving leaders, controlled by their own puppets, ever be considered revolutionaries? Ladies and gentlemen, truth be told, student unions have always been puppets of external powers. My opponent will come to tell you how student unions of years and years have been involved in notable revolutionary action. While this is commendable, let them know that we are not Manchester United fans that pass to the glory of their past. We know not the actions of the past, but we must also in conclusion, the compact planning department of this unit did not point it to a revolution. The compact that was largely controlled by external forces. Now, opponents want to give us history lessons, but then otherwise to make it a great anything that we just decided, and not from that act to recap. From the power to that, this is the basics, fundamental, and foundation of medicine. I am Lawal Idaya. Thank you. That's right. It is a great job that can let you know that Java is currently trending in Nigeria. Java is currently trending in Nigeria, and so we need you to keep tweeting. So, thank you. Now to the Kenya Faculties. We will the first speaker from the Faculty of Arts. Ladies and gentlemen, without you and I, there is no union. But my opponent with their basic mindset have come to call us puppets for our faces. Ladies and gentlemen, I am not Charles Dickens, but let me tell you a tale of two cities. Not London and Paris, but speaking of puppetry and revolutionary. Of course, let me correct my mistaken notion. Audience, you see, a mistake my opponent has made is to infer that student unions are only political, like SCQ, NANS, and WASU. However, the International Union of Students defines student technology as any movement that represents student interests, promotes their welfare, and encourages democratic values. That is, here in the University of Ibadan, student unions will not only the UISC, but also JCI, CLDS, MSSN, ESSEC, among others. Now, because of two cities, 61, puppetry, audience, according to the Memorial Dictionary, a puppet is someone who's apt to by an external force or influence. With just 3 strikes, this city of puppetry shall crumble. Strike 1. My opponents may come to argue that African cultural norms sometimes prevent student union from speaking up against leaders, thus making them puppets. However, if this were to be true, why didn't we have student union suspended on several occasions in Africa? For instance, the South African State Organization in 1980, GYS in 2017, and GDP in 2024. You see, if student unions were puppets, there will be no need for them to be silenced, suspended, or sanctioned anytime they question an authority. After all, by definition, a puppet has no say, no power, and certainly no need for suspension as a consequence. I mean, our parents won't punish us for listening to them. They punish us for not listening to them. Strike two. You see, for student unions to be a puppet is to show that they are controlled by an external force. But think about this. If the union of campus journalists, GCJ for instance, which be controlled by an external force, let's say university management, how then are they able to publish stories that obviously do not sit well with the university management? You see, my opponent's argument is a scope of logic as BNS is concerned. Strike two. Strike three. My opponent needs to understand that student unionism is not anti-authority. So as they have come to argue that student unions oftentimes work than management and solely depend on them for money, let them understand that cooperation is not puppetry. I mean, the only reason our opponents are here, calling us puppets to our faces, is because CLGS gave them a platform and empower their public speaking interest. Mind you, CLGS as a union works hand in hand with university managers and lecturers to ensure the success of the work, but it does not mean that they are controlled by them. Just as my opponent stands in today's debate, this city is called City 2 Revolutionary. Members of the union, they are Western Dictionary defines revolutionary as constricting or bringing about fundamental or religion. According to their goals to the sociologist, every revolution must contain one, efforts to question a regime that seems to be drawing on the vision of the religious order. Two, notable ability to draw the formal or informal mass mobilization. Three, efforts to force change through mass demonstration and protest and strike. With just two blocks, let us bring this city. Block one, African student union have repeatedly made this clear. For instance, 1976, Soweto uprising in South Africa for over 20,000 students protesting against the implementation of Afrikaans as a instruction medium in South Africa, and this in turn added momentum to the entire protest struggle. According to an article titled Student History of Student Protest in Nigeria 2022, medical students at the University of Nigeria protested in Uber electricity in 2021. Guess what? They got a new transformer. Did you also know that if not for student unionism, the University of Lagos would have been renamed Moshood Abiola University in 2013 by President Junior Jonathan. These are just few of the successes of student union. Block two. My opponent has made will make instances of hands being used as political puppets. Or I'm not the only one that agrees to reduce funds. But they seem to forget that just because one or two unions appear to be opposed to the idea and achieve unionism, it doesn't mean that all student unions are entirely are puppets and not revolutionary. It's like saying that UI speakers are poor researchers because PMS is a basic job with their research. This is block by block represents student unions in Africa. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, revolutionary actions like protest, strikes, and petitions are clear signs of independence and not puppetry. Like my opponent will come to mention, we recognize that this revolution act comes with high cost. Sometimes it will cost me like I could get anybody in the University of Value. But do these actions yield results? The issue says yes. Moreover, that these actions come with price is a sign that it is no puppetry. Rather, in addition to act, despite its own use, it's revolutionary in itself. So audience, join me in a long second silence for all those who are dying because of the union. Another 1 second silence for my opponent who thinks these struggles are mere acts of puppetry. Dear opponent, unlike you, student unions in Africa are not paid. Definitely no puppets. Instead, we have revolutionary.
Scientists, make some noise for one of the old Daniel.
Is to come here and talk about the great exploits of the old African student movement in front of 24 students who did not witness it. The state of student Africa, which was once a beacon of revolution and resistance, has flickered out completely that even iconic giants who pioneered the achievement of the old African student movement will come in their grace if they saw the puppet masquerading as student unions in Africa today. Audience, follow me as we journey past the present, examine the unfortunate cause that characterize student unions across Africa. Now, let's start from home. In 1989, Nigeria government Torah adjustment program, which was an austerity measure, which is the idea of suffer now, enjoy later. However, this idea was met with great opposition from the student union and the current government of that time, which eventually forced the government to abandon that program. Audience, now when I come here to argue that in the past and even in the present, student unions have engaged in a lot of protests, but audience, it is evident that most of their protests are usually ineffective and short-lived and short-lived. Audience, but fast forward to this big season, where fair price continues to aim from start and price of commodities keeps skyrocketing and leaders of tomorrow are even shy of not seeing tomorrow because of electric tariff increase. But audience, my opponent still call this sentiment of revolutionaries. Oh, audience, it is so sad that my opponent are too blind to see the truth behind it. Moving on to East Africa, in Uganda, the earlier governments were revolutionaries, fighting against injustice, colonialism, and dictatorship. However, according to an article released by Speaker Journal in April 24, 2024, most of them have been politically infected by politicians. Different by governments, not talking about opponents anymore, since they have released their heads and end from the worst man and have first become the faculty of man. It is not obvious when they can never understand. However, audience, despite the evidence I have provided, government has still come here to argue that in Africa, the protests are protected, but it is very obvious that these protests are usually short-lived and do not cause revolutions. So audience, let us forgive my opponents. In conclusion, with my expository argument, I have found a bright light at the heart of my opponents from the faculty of art. So only God can prevent them from losing to this debate. But audience, this God is beside me today. From the faculty that is in business, from the art and from the family, I am
impact and are now puppets. But let me remind them that revolutionary changes are not limited to societal level, but instead starts from individual level. According to an article by the Native in 2024, titled How Students Union Are Championing Future Employability, results showed that 43% of students who took part in STEM societies increased in their leadership skills, 62% improved in their communication skills, and 53% increased in resilience. If my opponents still don't get it, then we should understand that they have been used to basic. Don't move. We are the union. My opponents try to distort the truth by telling us that student union leaders often prioritize their individual struggles over societal struggles, and that individual struggles are separate from the union. But let me remind them that today's focus is not on the student union leaders, but on the student union itself, and there can be no union without you and I. Also, these student union leaders are elected by us, meaning that we can choose to elect a leader who prioritizes our welfare and understands unionism. But if we choose to do otherwise, my opponents will come here and attack ideal unionism simply because they voted an incompetent leader. Judges, I don't want to complain, but at this point, I have to complain. Ladies and gentlemen, my opponents are saying that you all are puppets because you make up the union. So tell me, are you puppets? In the words of Martin Luther King Jr., our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter. But as long as students' union are still loud about the things that matter, then we are not. I repeat, we are not. I've never been and will never be puppets. Basic medical sciences, check it.
Thank you very much.
Now, 49.
Thank you so much.
Well,
Please, faculty of arts and everyone faculty here, please stop clapping on the benches, please. It's very important. Don't come here, please. The management of this one, it's debate, so I don't ladies, so it's debate, so Mr. President, sir, regarding administration, what do you think about that? Revolution. Interesting.
alright, we are going on to the last round of tonight. It is between the Faculty of Dentistry and the Faculty of Nursing. However, Faculty of Dentistry is unavailable, so we will be having just the Faculty of Nursing. Tonight's debate topic is the major cause of post-colonial African troubles, external or internal factors.
And now we will be welcoming the first speaker from the faculty of Metropole, the one of the whole Ashanga.
Let us clarify today's topic with an analogy. If a smoker throws a burning cigarette to the ground, then someone pours petrol on it, leading to a fire outbreak. Indeed, two factors are involved, the burning cigarette and the petrol. Although the first factor is the initiator, the major cause here is the petrol, because the word major, as defined by Cambridge Dictionary, means the factor that is more serious. Thus, the topic is asking, what is the most serious factor in causing post-colonial African troubles? Starting with definition of terms, according to Peter Gifford, post-colonialism refers to the
course by exploring major aspects of African societies post-colonization. One, troubles within the political system. Since African countries gained independence, political instability has plagued us. This is evidenced by over 200 coup d'etats from 1950 to 2010, published by the Journal of Peace Research in 2011. Now, my opponent would have argued that the cause of this problem is that we were still at the early stages of liberation. So then, this is the major cause. But just like most telegram airdrops, this point is dust. Let us take the Republic of Niger for example. On the 26th of July 2023, the existing government was held hostage and overthrown for several claims, as reported by the United States Institute of Peace in the same month. The major causes of this trouble are internal factors like corruption, greed, and terrorism, identified in a 2024 article titled Governmental Instability, published by AG Global Strategies, a global security risk management service. More than any external factor, everyone can see that these internal factors are major. Two, troubles within the economic system. Judges, not once, not twice, have I heard that Africa should have been a wealthy continent, if not for colonial exploitation. Of course, my opponent would have agreed to this. However, despite colonial exploitation, which we agree was terrible, Africa still has more natural resources which could make it a prosperous continent, according to a 2024 report by the United Nations Environment Programme. This same source reported that Africa's economic growth is hindered by its inability to manage resources sustainably. This is clearly sampled in the way Nigeria manages her crude oil. How about Zimbabwe? A report by Green Governance Zimbabwe Trust shows that stated that the country is losing significant revenue to illicit financial flow and the lack of adherence to tax laws in the mining industry. More than any external factor, everyone can see that these internal factors are major. Lastly, troubles within the socio-cultural system. Audience, ethnic conflict remain an undeniable challenge across Africa. The Biafra War in 1967, Tigray War in 2020, and the 2023 Darfur War. My opponent would have argued that the reason for this conflict is that Africa was divided into nations by colonial masters, bringing together people with different cultures and values. E to the R to the R to the O to the R, error, complete error. Before colonization, we were already divided by cultural and linguistic boundaries. A journal titled Military Studies, published by Cambridge University, shows that there was evidence of conflict in Africa before colonization. While colonization may have truly had an impact in this topic, in this issue, we were the ones who promoted ethnic marginalization, using terms like Aboki, Omo Igbo. More than any external factor, everyone can see that these factors are major. In an attempt to sound logical, my opponent would have argued that the political, economic, and other structures brought were not initially Africans, but were laid down by colonial rulers, making it difficult for us to adapt. However, it's been over 60 years since most African countries gained independence. The situation wasn't. This is definitely not a problem of adaptation. Colonization might have given us pepper, but we were the ones who refused to make pepper soup. My opponents have also gone far and argued that external factors like climate change and global powers have the greatest impact on Africa. If they did this, they would be deflected from the topic. Yet, we will still refute it. These factors affect other continents also. So if Africa lacks more, then it's only logical to conclude that the major cause of this trouble is something originating from Africa itself. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, let it be known today in history that the faculty of nursing appears, leaving dentistry in the step.
and gentlemen, we have finally come to the near end of tonight's debate. And to wrap up tonight's debate is from the Faculty of Nursing,
There are two simple tasks I want us to do today. Think outside the box and think fast. Ladies and gentlemen, the major cause of post-colonial African troubles are due to internal factors. And as we put this to you today, remember, think outside the box and think fast. Internal factors are major because they are independent, while external factors depend on them. Let me explain. Before you can have periapical tooth abscess and infection of the teeth, there is a need for cracks and spaces in your teeth. These cracks are internal factors that make way for these infections. Similarly, the external factors that affect Africa today depend on what is already going on in Africa. A 2020 journal published by Cross-Cultural Communication analyzed how African countries were colonized. Interestingly, the British used the indirect rule policy of ruling people with their own people. Also, a report according to History Guide shows that Liberia, an African country that escaped colonization, achieved it mostly through its unity. So you see, that internal factors have greater impact than external factors. This only shows that major cause of our problem are due to internal factors. Remember, think outside the box and think fast. Moving on, the major reason why to date, the impact of colonization, such as exploitation still persists in Africa, can be linked back to internal factors. Ladies and gentlemen, the major reason why the impact of colonization can still be linked back to internal factors. Let us consider the concept of infrastructural debt, a policy that makes 14 African countries to annually pay 85% of their income back to their former colonizer, as reported in the 2023 article by the Ghana and Mali newspaper paper. Audience, judges, these factors, we can see that, let us consider the concept of infrastructural debt. Let us consider the concept of infrastructural debt, a policy that makes 85% of countries to pay their former colonizer. If we want to point fingers, let us point them in the right direction. What role does the African Union and the rest of the world play that will allow oppression to persist? Evidently, the major cause of our problems are due to internal factors. But remember, think outside the box and think fast. Let us moving on. If our opponents were here today, they may consider that because these challenges are tagged post-colonial, then it automatically means that the major cause are external factors. But then, judges, this is what philosophers call the fallacy of first cause. Because event B happened after event A does not make event A a cause. They have the job to show that there is a connection. And since they are not even here today, nobody will do their job for them. See, if external factors are major, then countries like Singapore, India, and the rest of the world that were impacted by colonization should face similar challenges. But Singapore is not one of the world's most prosperous countries, ranking highest in World Capital Human Index. So, see, that the major cause of our problems are due to internal factors. In conclusion, we have proven today that the major cause of post-colonial African troubles are due to internal problems, and we have asked that you think outside the box. If the dentistry students that are present here today still refuses to agree, we understand. Even the scope of our studies is confined within the box of the mouth. But you, dear audience, as you go home today, remember, think outside the box and think fast.
Wow. Imagine coming to your work and your opponent not show up. What did you do? You have to go to the Thank you. Now, I don't win this round, whether it is nursing or dentistry. I'm not sure. Why? But now, ladies and gentlemen, have brought us to the end of this round of Show War. And we will now be proceeding to the collation of results. But before we do that, we'd like to hear from the second citizen of this university. The 002, and she'll be coming out here to talk to us about the upcoming